Sarit Ayala. I'm sorry for being a little late.
You are not late, Ruanmali. You are not. You came on time.
Saritaya has a lot of work and still finds time to teach us these things. We need to know how to value it.
Come here, Vanmali. We were talking about the value of freedom of assembly. We were really talking about a summary of the things we talked about before. Everyone knows that freedom of assembly allows us to express our opinions collectively. And do you remember we talked that day? Historically, many social movements have led to this freedom of assembly to create social change.
Next, we talked about the right of assembly to test the power of the government. Am I right?
Wow, you remember. This allows us to demonstrate opposition to unjust policies for citizens. Through public meetings and protests, we can bring attention to issues that might otherwise be overlooked. Because of this transparency, the authorities can be pressured to correct the mistakes.
Hey, I remember that too.
Okay. I didn't say that you don't. So tell me then.
Being able to advocate for human rights, community building, that means joining together for a common purpose. It also applies for joining religious and cultural things, right?
Wow, Charya, I am so proud of you. The other important thing is economic impact. There are exhibitions and conferences that you have seen. Things like business opportunities are created from this, and good things happen to the economy. Legal and ethical framework. The legal system and society, the freedom of assembly has been accepted as a basic human right. That's the simple fact.
How do we know if we really have the said freedom?
Yes, I prepared a small presentation to talk about it. We need to establish exactly what freedom of assembly is. That means protection from the constitution, protection from the legislation and judicial supervision. For a strong legal base, laws must be prepared and implemented in accordance with international human rights standards. The right to freedom confirmed in the constitution. And the court should be allowed to review the measures taken by the authorities against the gatherings. The next thing we need to ensure freedom of assembly is law enforcement training. Training programs. Law enforcement officials should be properly trained on human rights standards related to importance of protecting peaceful assemblies. Use of force guidelines and accountability mechanisms. Strict guidelines should be established regarding the use of force in meetings. Also, when the right to assemble is violated, to enforce the law for it, strong mechanisms are needed.
I will read the next one. Getting a permit for a gathering should be simple. Now even we remember that it took a long time to get permits for that work, right? Also, everyone should be treated equally when giving license and enforcing the law. To ensure freedom of assembly, protesters must be protected. It really needs a specific area where people can gather without unnecessary interference. And they should be protected from the violence of the parties against the participants. And those facing legal challenges should be get legal aid.
So, does it happen in our country?
We are talking about things that should happen. In particular, the public should be informed about the right to freedom of assembly at the state level. Many people have no idea about this, right? Also, before the problems escalate, dialogue between the protest organizers and the authorities should be promoted.
According to this, the next step is to follow international standards and get cooperation. Also, the support of international human rights organizations should be obtained to monitor the state of freedom of assembly in the country and report those meetings.
If these things happen in this way, how beautiful our country will be.
We need to build that society. It is very important to take technical and digital steps for that. Digital rights of organizers and participants must be protected. They need to stop things like illegally monitoring their social media.
Does that mean things like social media tracking?
Yes, also things related to meetings and protests should not be censored and should allow to be posted on social media.
If these things happen properly, we will be able to express our opinions and stand for our goals in a peaceful and democratic way, right?
Yes, then the government and society can better ensure that the right to freedom of assembly is respected and protected.